I'm so excited to have Stephanie. I'm not going to butcher your name, Benedetto Padav
Padovani, you got it.
Padovani. It's okay. God, when you have these challenging names, you just shake your head and go, yes, that's me. It's like when you go to a restaurant and you're like, yeah, that's me. So, thank you so much for joining me today on my Facebook Live. I'm really excited. I told you I did do my homework, but I'm so curious, which will lend everybody else to be too. You are wild creation coach. What is a wild? I mean, who wouldn't want that on their business card? Um, You're a coach, master hypnotherapist, master timeline therapy practitioner, NLP trainer. I mean, your media is a long list of where we could have seen you on Huffington Post, Box Business, all these amazing blessings for sure. Stephanie, you have of the Awakened Business. Um, Tell us your background. Give
Mm,
us who you are. Who is joining me today?
mm. I love when I get asked that question because it gives me a chance to really say, who am I? Who am I?
I,
Who is showing up
I
today?
know. Thank God the tables aren't turned because I should get prepared for that one. I asked that. I asked that to someone the other day on a podcast, and I was like, he took a minute, and I thought, oh no, have I lost him? And I'm like, but I'm always thinking I should get my 30-second like, who am I speech.
Yeah,
But today is all
yeah,
about you.
that's right. And I get to answer it in this moment too, which is super cool. So what comes to me now, who am I? I am I am a playful marketer, is what's coming to me. And I often say unmarketer because I really like to flip the ideas that we have about marketing, the conventional ways we look at marketing on their heads, and also in business. So I call myself a wild creation coach, and this label may be due for an upgrade because business coach just doesn't do it for me.
Mm-mm.
It doesn't have the energy of what I'm really doing with people. And what I love to do is create and co-create with people and help them to create businesses that they love that don't necessarily follow the rules, and they're one of a kind. They are truly an expression of who they are, what they love, and their message in the world. So that's what I'm doing.
So give us an example of that because when I also think of unmarketing, I also think of 2020 where
mm,
we had to do everything different.
yeah.
Um, I like to say right now for sure 2021 is uh, just an extension. I know some people are sorry to hear that, but it's true.
Mm,
We turned the page, thank God, but uh, we are really doing things very different in the
mm,
marketing world, how we're sort of having to talk and speak in the marketing world.
mm,
It's just not the same way
yeah.
we do. So what kind of client might seek you or connect with you?
I am primarily working with coaches, healers, wellness practitioners,
Hmm.
people who in some way they have a service-based business that are kind of spiritually minded. There's usually a spiritual purpose behind it. They find themselves in a place where they have a lot of experience, but something in their business just doesn't really feel quite right. It's not quite aligned. They have been trying to do things the way they were taught, trying to follow the rules of marketing, and it's just grating against them. And there's a lot of questioning, like, is it a mindset issue? Is it a problem with me? I should be doing it this way, but no, I can't. And so there's an internal conflict. So,
I have to say, and sorry to
oh,
interrupt
go
you
ahead.
this way, but I think it's very true because over the years I've worked and have a wonderful client um, in the yoga world. It's not the same. It's not the same mindset. It's not the same pace, I guess, is one way, if she's listening, because I adore her. But it's not the same pace as a busy retailer or a restaurant. And her clients who she's targeting don't have the same mindset or pace.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. So these people find themselves in a place of transition as well because there's something bigger they want to create that they haven't yet dared. The clients, my client playmates, that's what I call them. My client playmates are people with big vision and a big message. There's something they want to say. Most of them are speakers, writers, budding thought leaders.
Mm.
And they really have a message, but they're not quite sharing it fully because they're still a little concerned about it's got to look a certain way and I have to do it this way. And I would go so far as to say that there's a different way of doing business for them, certainly. And it's very astute that you pointed that out. There's a different pace, there's a different lifestyle, there's a different market that they're working with. Absolutely. I believe that that's possible for anyone, regardless of the market, if they would choose it. I'm not saying you have to. If you want to work in under the, hustle, hustle, go, 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 push way, which is cool and which I did for many years myself, you can. But there's also another way if you choose it. So I help people to discover what that is in a way that's really light and playful, that they
Mm-hmm.
can have as much fun working on their business, even sharing what they do, as they do working with their clients, which typically they're absolutely in love with what they do, actually
Right.
to help clients' lives transform.
Well, and I think that what happens is that, and I find this, that people love what they do and they love doing it. But when you talk to them about the business part of
Yes.
doing their business, they, not necessarily a wall comes up, but they all of a sudden, that's the part they don't want to do. And so it almost, I had this conversation with someone yesterday. It's like tax season where you have to start doing that side of your
Mm.
business or those things. And I'm always like, okay, well, figure out what you can delegate. Maybe that's not, something you want to do, but you can have fun with marketing. You can have
Mm-hmm.
fun with your social media, even when it's not in your wheelhouse. And even if you want to delegate that out, you still have to be a part of it. So I love that you're saying be playful with it because it takes that, oh God, this is work, you know, because we spend the majority of our life in our workspace.
Mm.
Um, and so the work part of it should be joyful. And I tell people all the time, like, I love what I do. And I think people might get tired of me, sometimes hearing me say that, but, it's not, it's true.
Mm.
Um, so at
Yeah.
10:30, at
What?
10:30 at night when I'm still sending emails,
Yeah. Well, what if you create a business that you never feel like you want or need a vacation from?
right.
Why not? This is
Well,
our lives, you know?
I'm the person sitting at the pool with the laptop in her hand, sitting in the sun, and you know, all you people, Stephanie's in Florida right now, so she can say that because she's
Yeah.
in a warm space, but
If it doesn't, the problem is not how much you're working,
right,
that it feels like work, that it feels heavy. If it's
right,
joyful, why would you want to stop?
right.
And that
It's
doesn't mean
true.
that you don't take rest, because all of us need rest. And, maybe that's something else to look at if that's an issue for someone. But
Hmm.
yeah, and the whole idea behind talking about unmarketing, I recognize it's as made up as marketing, right? We make up this idea of what marketing is and that
Yeah.
it's painful and pushy and annoying and I have to compromise my values. These are often the people that I work with have these types of beliefs about it. Made up. All of them are made up. So let's
Hmm.
make up unmarketing. And in making up unmarketing, I say, okay, guess what? You're not going to market your business ever again. How about that? You don't have to. Really? Yeah, let's play with that for a bit. And so without marketing, what do you love to do? What would be the most joyful way to share it? And it's a totally different question. There's no marketing. Now, may we do something that's technically a marketing strategy to make that happen? Sure. But we're not going with the strategy first. We're going with what's alive for them, what's joyful, what's fun, how would they like to play? And we engage with it as an exploration, as an experiment. It's
So
much
I
more
love this. And
light.
if in particular my clients or potential clients are listening today, you might hear me steal this from Stephanie, and I will give her full credit every time
Oh.
because I always get. But I love this attitude because in some ways, I hope that I'm often implementing that. But I love that idea of unmarketing. I love um, the out of the box feeling. I love the idea of making sure your authentic self is coming through and that you're loving what you're doing um, while you're doing it. You know, I often used to say it's almost like learning something and you don't really know you're learning it because you're having fun doing it.
Mm, yes.
You know, you're sort of coming in you're sort of teaching someone something and they don't even realize they just had fun learning.
Mm-hmm. And
um
it's coming into business the same way. You're
mhm,
actually connecting with finding clients, promoting yourself, God forbid, and it
mhm,
doesn't feel like it.
right. How do I want to be sure we put this out there right away, and I will, as I share this link and as people see it live. How do people find you? Besides that, I just said you're in a very warm state, although God forbid you have some rain in Florida. But
Oh. They can find me, probably the best place is my website, which is theawakenedbusiness.com. I'm also on Facebook. I do have a Facebook page there. Um, the best place is going to be my website. And actually, I'm doing a lot of unmarketing experiments all the time. So, two things I'm playing with right now is do you have to use social media to market your business? Because that's one of the things that people say you have to. If you don't, you're not going, your competition, you have to have a presence, must be visible. I'm like, well, is that really true? So I'm testing it out for myself, which means, of course, my social media presence is not as, it becomes less and less prominent as I explore these other avenues and realize I don't have to. I'm giving myself permission to show up how it works for me. So you're welcome to join me on my email list to learn more about my experiments and no social media, unmarketing, and also playing in business and on marketing. So really bringing that playfulness to what you do.
it's an interesting. I do know someone who lessened their social media in the sort of vocations that the spiritual vocations. um he did sort of a similar type of experiment. He's gone back to putting himself more in social media, but also probably less
Mm-hmm.
and more mindful, I would say.
Yeah,
And I
if you're going to do it, you can do it in a way that serves you, in a way that's
mhm,
intentional, in a way that feels good, instead of
yeah,
getting sucked down the social media rabbit hole. And
yeah,
then, like, you can use a tool like newsfeed eradicator and get rid of your newsfeed, so you're never distracted while you're there, and just go directly to groups if that's where you're posting, or your
mhm,
own page. Things like that keep you away from the parts that are maybe less pleasant, or
yeah.
choose different social media outlets. There's more than just Facebook, right? Some people love Instagram, and now people are playing on Clubhouse, and we've got all these cool avenues. You can do YouTube videos that are much less icky feeling for many people.
Well, one of the things that I try and say about social media is I'm an advocate for social media. However, and that is a big capital, however, you need to know your audience. You need to know who you're trying to reach. So, and the other thing is, not to stand on a soapbox because there's just people out there going like this with social media. Like,
Yes.
it's the cat posts. I don't need any more cats and dogs. Although there's no doubt that a friend of mine just got the dog when she posts her dog. Believe me, it makes my day. However, from a business standpoint,
Mm-hmm.
um, you know, you need to be utilizing the tools to target who you're trying to reach and why you're trying to reach them. And unless you do the work to know that, then all you're doing is picking up a pen when you really needed a pencil, you
Mm,
know,
yeah.
and you're using a white piece of paper when you needed a lined piece of paper. And, you know, and I find that that's one of the problems, that you really need to use that branding exercise, go back to your goals of, you know, I love when people always say this, and I'm sure they say this to you, what social media should I use?
Yeah.
And I'm always like, are you kidding me? This is the first time we've met. I
Hmm.
don't even know who your audience is. So, you know, I'm constantly saying, well, I wouldn't start with TikTok when your audience isn't
Yeah.
chances are. So, yeah, I'm a firm believer in that you have to know where your audience is, because if your audience isn't on Instagram, I wouldn't be on Instagram trying to tell them anything. So, my soapbox of the day on social media, which I go through. I'm sure you hear that all the time. Um, are there are there common threads that you hear? It's really my final question to you. Are there common threads within the um, clients that you talk to, coming out of 2020 and going into this new year, that they sort of want to break down and unmarket themselves,
Mm.
and sort of want to get out of the hole and say, like, this is what we want to achieve going into a better year? And I
Mm.
think that better year is going to take a few months, but
Mhm.
is there something that they, you know, certainly in the spiritual and um,
Yeah, there is. Okay. So there are a couple things that come to mind. First of all, so many people, everyone's world was touched in some way, shape, or form, obviously, by 2020 and the pandemic. And in business, I think it was a beautiful opportunity in some ways, as devastating as it can be, because it was so disruptive, to say, what do I really want? Is this what I want? What's working for me? What isn't? And some people gave themselves a break for the first time in a long time. And they
mm,
let themselves go, you know what? I don't know right now. And I'm just going to coast for a little while, or I'm going to take my other people engaged like they'd never engaged before. And they got more in the game and they created all kinds of amazing, cool stuff. So it really was a beautiful way for people to reevaluate where they're headed and what they want. Headed into 2021, I think I'm seeing that people have a little bit of a clearer idea about what that might be, and realizing maybe I haven't been doing it, and I'm not really on it, but I can feel it a little more clearly because they allowed themselves to experiment a little bit more in the spiritual and holistic spaces. There's a lot of, like, I'm not really a follower of astrology and that type of thing, but there's a lot of astrological events
mm,
happening this month that people are talking about. And there's a real feeling of there's a new way we're doing business. There's a new paradigm we're moving into. Again, I don't know that I particularly subscribe to it that much, but there is a feeling that that's happening. And so people want to recreate and reinvent themselves. And that's what I'm seeing. You can. And particularly in this community, there is there are groups of people who are rising up to do that, and they're no longer looking at business in the same way. They're discarding, not only just discarding the more harsh and hypey things that never resonated, but asking themselves, wow, if I could do this anyway, how can I do it? Pricing. Can I have, people have scholarships and sliding scales and doing pro bono work and building that into their businesses consciously. There's so much that you can do. So I see that arising in this
yeah.
time for sure.
It sounds like what you're seeing then is just a more, um, breaking it down, a more conscious effort to see the people in front of them, and a community effort to really engage uh, even deeper with who they're trying to service, which is good to hear, because I think what it says to me, and what I would agree, and what I'm seeing, is that people are listening and trying more to be in tune to what
Mm.
the needs are of who
There's
they're trying
there's
to service.
There's also a healthy self-indulgence. I'm going to call it self-indulgence about it. Like, hey, I'm not doing this just for my clients or just to fulfill my calling and make a difference in the world. I want it to be joyful for me. It's a
Mm,
both and. And I believe it starts with the entrepreneur. It starts with you. Contrary to what a lot of marketing strategies that are really useful, by the way, would teach you
mm,
to think about your customer, know your avatar, all of these things, right?
mhm,
Talk to their needs. Yes, but first, make sure you're lined up with what you're passionate about, not the other way around. It's not
mhm.
just serving the need. And then it's that connection. So there's a willingness to do both, I think, that I'm seeing is a little different.
Well, I love that. I can't thank you enough for spending time today. Again, I'll post it, but where do people find you? Best on your website,
Yes, theawakenedbusiness.com.
theawakenedbusiness.com, and I'm going to post it right now and share it. And I can't thank you enough. Enjoy that sunny Florida, sunny in Michigan today. I hope everybody has a
Yes.
great day wherever they are. And thanks for spending time.
Well, thank you for inviting me, Sari.
All right. Have a great day. Bye.